Welcome back to the Jedi Enclave presents the Now This is Podcasting podcast. I'm Daniel.
I'm Chris.
And in the dark, stormy world of Star Wars and other fandoms, we're the two guiding lights to bring you to some kind of comedic experience about Star Wars and other things we enjoy. Mm-hmm. Like specifically this time around, like this time of year, Loki season 2.
Yeah.
Gen V.
Gen V is a lot of fun.
It is. I felt the same way about The Boys.
Yeah.
So from what I understand, I guess The Boys as a comic isn't great. I haven't read any of it.
Yeah.
But from I've heard from people who have, and they're like, it's okay.
Well, it's black humor written by a guy who hates the very idea of superheroes.
Yeah. As a show, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
And as far as spin-offs go for shows, because spin-offs can be like
they can be pretty good.
Yeah. It's pretty fucking great, actually. I really like it.
But they landed with a really good cast.
Yeah.
And they've got the same sort of writing from The Boys, where number one, they're always willing to poke fun at anything.
Yep.
And number two, they're always willing to pull the rug out from under you.
Yeah. And just be real gross too. So
you want to see a dick explode? You can see that in Gen V.
We'll show it to you twice, actually. If you're just tuning in and you're like, wait, what is this about dicks exploding? We probably just got automatically demonetized, by the way.
Yeah, it's
which
fine.
is fine. Today,
it's not like we were making money off this anyway.
Yeah, that's true. Today, we have something we haven't done in a long time called Star Wars Story Time.
Woo!
We're going to be looking at Yoda number 7.
Okay.
Yoda versus General Grievous.
Oh,
which
sounds fun.
It is fun, and I didn't realize there's only one canon showdown between these two. I didn't think that there were any.
Yeah.
Because I just kind of assumed Yoda would fuck him up,
Yeah.
But there's that whole thing. We're going to talk about 2 episodes each of Loki season 2 and Gen V. We've kind of redone our podcast schedule, so now we're on Saturday for the foreseeable future. We're on Saturdays at
There's
6.
a Star Wars happening,
right? Which, by the way, as a result, the Star Wars news, it's like that weird in between shows where not a lot of Star Wars news is happening. So we'll talk a little bit about Star Wars news, but also Loki season 2. The last 2 episodes, including the one that just premiered on Thursday, and the last 2 episodes of Gen V, including the one that just premiered or also Thursday night. And if you're joining us on YouTube after the fact when our podcast drops, the time codes for each of those discussions will be in the description of this video, which you should check out. Like if you're just here for Loki, or if you're just here for Gen V, or if you just want to watch us gesticulate wildly about Yoda, those things are in the description. And thanks to Connor at the Star Wars Hub, who's I love this guy. He runs this really big
Star Wars Facebook page.
Yeah, it's got over 250,000 followers or something. Which, by the way, we passed 11,000 followers.
Well, shit.
I was like, that is 10,998 more than I thought we'd ever have, which is he's got his his fair share of QAnon released the Snyder Cut, fucking Elon Musk fanboy,
as you do when you run any large internet community.
And they love to get in comments and just make total asses of themselves and everything. And we went through the other day on the different profiles that have their maybe you shouldn't say this. They have their addresses in their public Facebook profiles and sign them up for a bunch of physical mailers from AOC and Joe Biden, the Human Rights Campaign, a bunch of trans organizations. Yeah. So these guys are about to get a mountain of physical mail from the most liberal things I could think of. It's fucking great. As a result, though, Connor's from England, and he messages me. He's like, "What is a zip code?" It's why? That's how this whole thing started. He's like, "What is a zip code?" And then he told me why he needed to know. I was like,
and you're like, give me in on this.
Yeah, well, like we can figure this out. While you're here, obviously, like and subscribe and share the stream. We're on Discord. The link to that is the link to all of our socials are in the description. You should join us afterwards, right after this. Battlefront.
Assuming you're watching live. If you're watching on YouTube, who the fuck knows?
Yeah. We'll be doing Battlefront at 7, which, by the way, we like that. This happens every, I don't know, I want to say like every few months to like a year, where like for some reason, me streaming Battlefront really threatens the identity of people who like their entire identity is I'm the best at Battlefront. Mm-hmm. And so me streaming it,
which they're not, by the way.
Yeah.
Those British people, are.
Yeah, it's right. And it's like, like when like that one guy that always wears a tank top walks around, he's like 5'2", and like he walks around and you're like, hey man, he's like, who said I'm short? It's like that. It's like I stream Battlefront. They're like, who the fuck are you? And so they try to make me miserable and everything, but that's fine. What they don't realize is that being a smaller operation, every single view helps. So like they're helping the channel literally more than anything. So because they just sit there and wait for me to look at the scoreboard so they can try to stream snipe us. Mm-hmm. So yeah. I won't say any of their names because the other thing is like they're all prepubescent, like 13-year-old boys,
of course,
who like they don't know how to manage their attraction for another man. And so they're like, like in school, there's always that one, and this might have actually been me. There's that one kid who like has a crush on someone, like, when you're kids. Mm-hmm. And you don't know how to show affection for them, so you beat them with a stick.
Yes.
They're those kind of people, like they don't understand how to do that, or they don't realize that Pornhub is a thing. They can just go take out their frustrations there.
This is our public service announcement for the night. If you're considering stream sniping, just fucking go kiss somebody. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like get their consent and fucking kiss them. Yeah, it's fine.
Consent.
Yes. Consent is very important.
Yeah.
But also it's okay to just kiss a boy. Yeah. It's fine.
It's fine. Like it's 2023. Yeah. Literally no one cares. By the way, speaking of which, and this has nothing to do with it, just a rough segue, our Gungans and Dragons,
God, that's tomorrow, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, it'll be tomorrow at 7, which is our tabletop Star Wars RPG. And I play a Chiss Jedi with a drug problem. You play a pilot, and I think we're
currently trying to rescue a pro-slavery Republic senator. I almost said a Republican senator, which would not have been inaccurate. But
we had a really there was like a neat little.
We had a CSI.
Yeah,
scene.
It was like a CSI Miami. I should have worn sunglasses so that way I could just take them off
dramatically.
That'll be tomorrow at 7 with a couple of the guys from Gremlin Squad, but also a couple of other guys from Discord that we've made friends with. So join us for that. And shall we do some Star Wars?
I think we stalled enough.
Yeah. I wasn't stalling. I just had a lot on my mind. You're the only person I have to talk to. Yeah. I live down in this basement. I haven't talked to anyone in 10 years. You leave, and you know what I start doing? Waiting for you to come back the next week. Okay, so you know how filmmakers will, no one will ask them about something, but they'll weigh in on it anyway. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Matt Vaughn, the guy who directed X-Men First Class, was on the Sad Happy Confused podcast, and I don't know how the conversation got around to it, but I'm pretty sure he just no one really asked, but
I'm sure Star Wars was like a peripheral topic, and he was like, you know what I'd do?
Yeah, and he went on this thing about how he would if it were up to him, he would reboot the original trilogy. And he said, for me, doing a Star Wars movie is to play with the characters that I loved. If they said to me, do you want to reboot Star Wars and actually have Luke Skywalker, Solo, and Vader and do your version of it? Everyone would say you're an idiot to try, but that would excite me. Why are the characters so hallowed from 1977 that you can't redo it for a new audience? And he went on to say something about he feels like Lucasfilm and Disney have strayed from the original a group of people, whatever the fuck that means, and that's fine. People were gonna not prefer the Disney stuff as much, or the, you know, in the other way around. So that's fine. And he said the TV shows are good, but the universe is missing an epic film. And it's like, you don't think that the guys making the movies like we're trying not trying to make, you're the first one that thought of like, oh, let's make it really epic.
Yeah.
Like those guys were trying too. That wasn't the issue. And I think it's really funny that the guy that did X-Men First Class, which isn't particularly great, I didn't think.
I thought it was fine. And like they had a couple sequels that I thought were pretty good.
You know what would happen? He would go into it with this, I'm going to make an epic Star Wars movie. Literally everyone, like half of
except what if Leia was a bad guy? Or
they recast Leia or whatever. And like there are Star Wars fans that would hate it just to hate it, and they'd send you death threats on social media, and then you'd be like, oh God, why did I do this? Just like all the other Star Wars directors, right? So like there's nothing it just I was kind of rubbed the wrong way with this, because it was like, who the fuck asked you about this?
It's like, who's asking for this? Like I don't think there's a single Star Wars fan alive who's saying let's change episodes 4, 5, 6. Like the original trilogy is the thing every Star Wars fan likes. It's everything that came after that we argue about.
So this is obviously never going to happen,
obviously, right?
I think I have a hunch. I'm pretty sure that when George Lucas sold Star Wars, there was something in the agreement that they would never change the original.
McClunky.
Yeah. Like that was his, like that's his legacy, right?
You're going to put McClunky in episode 4 and you're never going to change it.
And so I'm pretty sure that they couldn't reboot them even if they tried. Now, or even if they wanted to. Now, we know that they're allowed to recast the original characters. Because they obviously recast Han Solo for Solo Star Wars story, but they're not going to do any of the other ones. Much to I think fans would be all right with it.
They really should, but they won't.
And this is one of those things that like people have all these reasons to hate Kathleen Kennedy or don't like what she says, but they're all really stupid. But like, here's one where I'm like, oh, fuck you. Where and she was like, it was like a year ago. I was doing some background on this. I was reading about it with Vanity Fair. She was like, we're never going to do Luke Skywalker without Mark Hamill. And it's like, why? That's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
He's 800 years old now. Like, why the, like, and I bet if you asked Mark Hamill, hey, would you mind if they got like a really good younger actor, Luke Skywalker, you know what he'd be like?
Yeah, like fucking go for it.
Yeah. Fucking do it. Yeah. And by the way, this is, maybe we should talk about this if we have time at the end. You know how we used to do that segment where we talk about other shit we've been watching? If we have time at the end of this, let's do that. And if not, let's talk about it during the Battlefront stream. Okay. Because I discovered a show this last week that we've been watching that was really, really good that Mark Hamill was in. Anyway. So yeah, they're not going to reboot the original trilogy. It's a non-starter. No one asked you, Matt Vaughn, shut the fuck up. Next. Before we go on to the next thing, we're going to talk about the Marvels a little bit. Okay. Because the next MCU movie coming out November 10th.
God, that's really soon.
Yeah, we'll go see it. Brie Larson, the girl who plays Kamala Khan, the girl who plays Maria
Rambeau.
Yeah, Rambeau. Or is it Maria or is it the other one? Is Maria the name of her mom?
I think that's the mom. I think this is Monica.
Yeah, no, it is. It's Monica Rambeau. Yeah, going off against they're popping off against a Kree general with a big hammer. And it looks like the box office projection for this is not good at all. Like it's not going to make a lot of money.
Well, of course not. It has Brie Larson in it.
And so that's the thing is I'm sure like, oh yeah, fucking Brie Larson's in it. And it's like, okay, so I don't believe the entire world hates Brie Larson as much as you do. And the reason you hate her so much is you can't stop masturbating to her. I totally get it. Like she's hot and everything. Yeah. I'm gay. I love Brie Larson. Like I totally do Brie Larson. That's not a reason to take Brie Larson. But like, for example, they're thinking it might make like less than half of what Captain Marvel made, which is kind of an unfair comparison because Captain Marvel was coming right off the back of Infinity War. And the way Infinity War ended, it kind of gave everyone the feeling that they had to see. Yeah. Because you might remember there's that post-credit scene where fucking has the pager and the Captain Marvel thing comes and it was a character that was never in the MCU and everyone was like, holy shit. Because in the comics, Captain Marvel is insane. Like Captain Marvel would be the one to come and like kick Thanos' ass. And so everyone was also Infinity War is closer to a perfect film than probably a lot of films get to being. So I think everyone was really excited about it. But like this time around, we're experiencing some real heavy MCU fatigue.
It's that a lot of MCU stuff recently hasn't been that great.
I know, that's the other thing. Like I was watching there's a new TV spot for it, and I was watching it, and I was like, these effects don't look very good. Like they kind of look like Ant-Man, Quantumania, and the Kang or something, or whatever the fuck that movie was, and they weren't great. And that's too bad because like Captain Marvel is probably top 3 favorite MCU characters for me.
That's actually a really big problem when you have 3 protagonists, all of whom rely heavily on visual effects for their powers.
Yeah, and it's I don't know. I'm gonna go see it. I'm gonna give it a fair shake. We'll talk about it when we see it. And I'm going into it wanting to like it because I'm a fan of the lead. I'm a fan of the character. I like Kamala Khan. I think she's great, and I like Monica Rambeau as well. And I hope they get into the tension between Monica and Captain Marvel that they laid down in WandaVision and all this other stuff. But like, it's probably not going to make a lot of money, and there are a ton of reasons why. Most of all, everyone's just like, literally everything except for Loki season 2 lately has been kind of bad. So why would I? What's next?
Let's talk about Minecraft.
Oh God. Well, I'm not 12, so why would we?
Because there's Star Wars in it.
Oh yeah, right.
Minecraft is putting a Star Wars DLC. It's coming out November 7th. You get to be a Padawan and you get to run around and do Jedi stuff.
Will it get me to play Minecraft?
Probably not.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, there's
if you're into Minecraft, that's great. Yeah, good for you. Other random thing. Marvel and Lucasfilm are releasing a Mace Windu and Jango Fett comic series.
There's a whole lot of comics, actually,
right? Yeah, these are notable. They're not the same issue with Mace Windu and Jango.
It's not Mace Windu and Jango Fett. It's Mace Windu and another series of Jango Fett.
Yeah, it obviously in the prequel series, like in the prequel timeline, because
they couldn't be anywhere else because both those characters are dead.
They're pretty dead. Including Mace Windu. But like this is we're going to do Star Wars story time, and these like singular character runs have been really fun. Like the Yoda run has been really neat. The Vader thing, like the Vader run has been epic. Like it is so good. And Mace Windu is my favorite prequel era Jedi. So I'm like,
sign me the fuck up.
And I'm pretty sure this was a preview for that series. Either that or I saw it in a panel and something else. I can't remember. I don't know. But like I saw a panel where like Hugh Yang is helping Mace Windu like build his lightsaber, and Mace Windu's like, I can't do this, and he's like, fuck you, just do it. And he's like, okay.
All right, I guess.
And it's like I think that might be in there. Maybe we'll see some stuff from him as a Padawan, and I'm excited about learning more about him because he is one of the more epic Jedi from the prequel series. People might remember that, like before Mace Windu, there were like 6 lightsaber forms, and he came along and like learned all of them.
Motherfuckers, I'm making a 7.
He's like, I don't think those will do, so I'll just do my own. And every Padawan he ever trained in it turned to the dark side, except for him. And there's a whole thing, by the way, because I know that like this is a common thing I see on social media where people will be like, oh yeah, did you know that Mace Windu taps into the dark side because of his thing that he invented? It's like, no, he didn't. That first of all, that's false, and we've presented proof of this before. Not only was he deeply in love with the Republic and defending the Republic, he very much was like a light side bro. It was his entire belief system.
Yeah, he just really liked to fight.
He did. He liked to fight, and his strength is the reason he didn't use the dark side, right? If that's why everyone else kind of fell to the dark side, it's because like they didn't have the strength that he had. And it's not like he was just okay like doing a bad thing every once in a while. It's just he was that strong that he didn't fall to the dark side, which is kind of neat. What will they talk about with Jango Fett? I'm not really sure, but I'm sure it'll be do you remember Mandalorian season 2 on Tython? When Jango Fett's like, look, here's the tag.
Here's my fucking
It's
genealogy.
Yeah, belonged to my father. And then there was like the Easter egg about Concordia or Dawn or whatever, and like maybe I'll get into like some of that shit. And I know that there are legends accounts of how he and Count Dooku came to know each other and how he came to be the template for the clone army.
I feel like that's a really like they could tell that story. It'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, so it's that'll be neat. What else?
Also in that story, by the way, there's Dark Horse, which is another comics publisher, is putting out a series about Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. Oh, again, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan.
Yeah, right.
Separate books.
Which they could do. I've mentioned the Jedi Apprentice series like about 1 billion times because I love it so much. It would be cool if they did something, an animated series or a comic run or something of them. I mean, there are a couple of novels. There are Claudia Gray's Master and Apprentice, and I think Brotherhood also gets into their relationship a little bit. The book Star Wars Padawan gets into it, but there isn't a ton. And it would be nice to see some of the crazy adventures of Qui-Gon, the I'm not listening to anyone, fuck you, and Obi-Wan, the we must follow the rules boy, and it would make a fucking great buddy cop story, right? Yeah. So yeah, 2 separate ones would be fine too, because I those are both characters I would love to know more about.
So Greg Gine, I'm probably mispronouncing that, died relatively recently. Well, last year. Sorry, I guess that's not relatively recently. Yeah. Anyway, he was a Hollywood special effects artist for many, many years. Worked on many things, including the very first Star Wars movie. And
little movie called Star Wars that came out in 1997. You might have heard of it. Yeah.
So he, like many people in the effects business, kept little souvenirs of the various projects he's worked on. And so after he died, some buddies were like going through his garage, digging through boxes to look at all these things. And they found a model of a X-Wing that was used in episode 4.
Would have shit my fucking pants.
Yeah.
So first of all, none of these guys thought that Star Wars was going to be successful.
Yeah.
Pretty much George Lucas is like, he like borderline embezzled money to make ILM.
Yeah.
And then he got everyone together and he's like, okay, I have this number of effect shots. I need these things to happen. None of the technology for this exists.
Make it happen.
Would do it. And they're like, oh, shit.
Oh.
And they had to start from the ground up.
How much money do we have?
Yeah, they had to invent motion controlled camera work and all this crazy shit. Yeah. And like they get like an alarming amount, like the movie's about to come out and like the effect shots aren't done. George Lucas is like, I'm gonna have a fucking heart attack. He almost did, actually. Yeah. And they finally started getting some of the shots done, and like one of the first shots was the on the Death Star, the turret shooting
pew, pew, pew.
And the other one, like when they took 2 KFC buckets and taped them together and made the escape pod from like one of the first like VFX shots from the movie. And they sent it to him and he's like, okay, this is actually good, please keep doing it. And they made a bunch of these X-Wing models out of wood, which isn't how they make Starship models. Well, they don't make Starship models anymore, but like they made them out of wood instead of like styrene. This thing sold for like $3.1 million, and it's probably about this big, like studio scale X-Wing. They weren't very
incredibly detailed. Like it has little scorch marks and everything.
Those guys, those ILM model makers, dude. It just, I mean, that reading about those guys is the whole reason I like building models. That my dad was really into it and got me into it. But I would flip through his old magazines and shit and look at, like, these guys that made these models and pictures of them, and it's just fucking incredible. I love it.
Greg Gine, by the way, had a whole bunch of other stuff that also sold at auction for less than $3.1 million, but still an awful lot of money, and was actually nominated for a couple Academy Awards, including for Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yep. Another John Williams movie, by the way. Steven Spielberg. Yep. Richard Dreyfuss is in that movie. I love him. He's so weird. Anyway, I think that's all right for the Star Wars news. Yeah. Okay. I need to make sure I get over and I haven't done this part for a really long time. So hold on to your butts, and here we go. That's right. It's time for a little segment we haven't done in a long time because there've been a lot of shows we've had to talk about. Yeah,
shit.
But this is Star Wars Storytime,
the world famous segment, Star Wars Storytime.
And if you don't know what it is, I happen to read a lot of Star Wars peripheral material, comics and novels and stuff. And because you're an adult, you don't really have time for it, which is fine. You don't need to, because I just tell you about everything that happens, right? And so this is going to be one of those things where I tell you everything that happens in a story that I've read recently and have enjoyed, and everyone else can enjoy it as well. Before we get there, thanks to Star Wars Storytime, not Star Wars. That's us.
Comics Story.
Yeah, Star Wars Comics Story, which is a YouTube channel that you should check out, where you can read any and all of these comics for free. Is it legal? I don't know, but you might see some of the footage from his videos in this video if you're watching on YouTube. And so if go give him a subscribe and tell him good job.
He's good people
doing the Lord's work. We're doing today we're doing Yoda versus Grievous, Yoda versus General Grievous, which is written by Mark Gutenheimer and published by Marvel Comics. And I at first I thought that this concept was only possible in like Battlefront 2, like the whole Grievous versus Yoda, and it's a neat idea because it's like Grievous is this like big motherfucker and
big metal guy with 4 arms.
Yeah, and Yoda's like the opposite of that. He's like little and
little squirrel on crack.
Yeah, right. So I make a reference to that. And it's weird. You must have heard me say that, or maybe I heard you say that somewhere. Yeah.
I just like every time we watch episode 2 together, that's all
it is. It's he's got squirrel on crack energy. So leave us a like if you would, please. It would make me happy. It'd make your mother happy. At least word to your mother. Yeah. So this is, I think this is the 7th issue in this, and pretty much the whole thing is Yoda exiled on Dagobah by himself, feeling dejected, having to live with the failure of losing the Republic.
It's raining outside, so he's getting real emo and writing in his diary or whatever.
Right. And then like Qui-Gon Jinn shows up and is like trying to talk to him, and in every episode he's like, stop it. but
fuck off.
Yeah. So the Jedi have fallen, and the Empire reigns supreme under Emperor Palpatine and Darth Vader, and this is all he does now. He moseys around his little hut and he's like, my life sucks, I hate everything. And so in this particular issue, we open with Yoda in the kitchen cooking, and he's got like his Gordon Ramsay video pulled up on his phone and everything, and he's like trying to figure it out, and Qui-Gon's like, psst, Yoda. And Yoda's like, good God, would you please either fully die?
No, Yoda, it needs more salt.
Yeah, right. Or leave me alone. Like, this beef Wellington is going to be dry as fuck if I let it overcook. And Qui-Gon's like, well, actually, you should probably take it out a few minutes and let it rest. He's like, I know how to make a beef Wellington, Qui-Gon Jinn. Fuck. And Qui-Gon's like, look,
I don't need cooking advice from a ghost.
Yeah. I get you're in exile. I get why, but like there's nowhere you can exile yourself that will let you run from all the really bad shit happening in the galaxy right now. We've got to figure this out. And Yoda's like, you don't think I know what's happening? Like, I'm motherfucking Yoda.
I was there.
Yeah. Like Vader, Palpatine, all of it. Like, they're too powerful. I shot my shot. I lost. It's like, if it was so important, maybe you shouldn't have been fucking killed by Darth Maul a decade ago. Like, that would have helped everyone if that whole thing could have happened. And Qui-Gon's like, yeah, the Force works in mysterious ways. And Yoda's like, oh, shut the fuck up. Like, you lost a 1v1. Just fucking own it. And he's like, okay, whatever. So you think the threat's too big. What's the first lesson you teach Jedi students? And Yoda's like, if you think she's spunky, cover your monkey. And Qui-Gon's like, what? No.
Don't be a fool. Wrap your tool.
Yeah. You teach that to kids? And he's like, abstinence only doesn't work. Clearly, that's how we got here.
Yeah.
So maybe I should have said that to them more. And Qui-Gon's like, that's actually a fair point.
The one about, judge me by my size. Dude.
Yeah. Like the one about the size. And he's like, it's not the size of the boat, but the motion of the ocean. And
God, no.
Qui-Gon's like, it's just now occurring to me, maybe you should not have been allowed around children. It's size matters not, you fucking perv. And he's like, that's literally what I just said.
Yeah.
And Qui-Gon's like, okay, you're a little out of line, but you're not wrong. Like, can we just do the flashback now? Like, for fuck's sake. And Yoda's like, okay, yeah, let's do that. So this is during the Clone Wars. We go to the Ring of Kafrene, wherever the fuck that is. I didn't even know what that is. And do you remember how Rogue One opens? How like there's like the spy.
There's
like on the street level, like meeting with a shadowy figure.
It's like the second or third scene, but yes.
Yeah, and like they're discussing war things, right? Mm-hmm. It's pretty much that. Except it's a dude in a fucking bowl cut, and he's like sneaking around the streets, and he meets this mysterious hooded figure, and the bowl cut dude is like, this is fucking crazy, like meeting out here in the open. The separatists have spies everywhere, and the figure's like, bitch, I've got spies everywhere, like you. You're my spy. Yeah. Give me the information you call me about. And the dude with the bowl cut's like 50,000 Republic credits. And the
Republic credits?
Yeah. The guy's like, Republic credits are good out here. Like you don't need something more real. And the bowl cut dude's like, huh? And he's like, okay, you probably haven't seen that. Yeah. Here. And he fucking showers him with credits. And the guy's like, okay. So the separatists are up to something weird called Operation Titan. Mm-hmm. And the figure's like, okay, and what is that? And he's like, I have no idea. And so
a lot of help you are.
Throw some more credits on him. And he's like, ooh, money. It's a weapon. And he's like, what kind of weapon? And he's like, I really don't know that. But from what I hear, it'll change the course of the war. And he's like, okay, thanks. Go off. You get more information.
Go do more spy shit.
Yeah. So this hooded figure walks back to a secluded landing pad where a very familiar tiny little ship is sitting, and it's the Jedi starfighter that belongs to Yoda. The hooded figure opens its robe to reveal Jedi Master Yoda standing atop his astromech droid, just pretending to be a tall person with his hood up and shit. So he tells his
It's literally three kids standing on each other's shoulders.
So he tells his astromech droid to plot a course back to Coruscant. Mm-hmm. So they go back to Coruscant. They get to the Jedi Temple. The full council is convened, and so like he goes through what happens. He tells them what happened, and Mace Windu is like, "Hold on, say the last part again. Like you were standing on top of your astromech droid pretending to be a tall person." And Yoda's like, "Yeah, I do that all the time." And Mace is like, "Why?" And Yoda's like, to be tall. And he's like, okay, I mean, fair enough. But anyway, so there's a weapon. Like, do you trust the source? And Yoda's like, well, yeah, like he wouldn't lie to a tall person. Like, no one lies to tall people. It's part of the reason I fucking do that.
I gave him like 100,000 Republic credits. Yeah. Surely he has no reason to lie.
Also, I've used this source in the past, and his information is generally good. Mm-hmm. And Windu is like, did he give you anything other than a name to go on? And Yoda's like, he did not. And Ki-Adi-Mundi speaks up, and he's like, hold on. I'm still caught up on this whole droid thing. So you just walk around on top of your droid in a Jedi robe pretending to be tall. Like, have you done this? Have you done it to like any of us?
Yoda's like, I don't know, Ki-Adi-Mundi. Are you still fucking your three wives?
Yeah. Like, have you pulled this with any of us? And he's like, you'll never know the answer to that question. And he's like, fuck, this place is so weird. Okay. So Project Titan isn't much to go on. And Obi-Wan speaks up and he's like, hold on. The other night, someone came to my quarters and asked if I had a bottle of scotch. And Yoda's like, yeah, that was me. But you're short. Like, you're not underage. You could just go buy it yourself. And Yoda's like, can we just focus on the issue at hand, please? And Obi-Wan's like, Jesus, I really thought that was Anakin just trying to get drunk. Okay, speaking of Anakin, I guess he and his unit, General Skywalker, they've confiscated a separatist frigate. And Yoda's like, oh, nice. That means we can like hack into its computers and shit. Like maybe we can get some more information about Project Titan. So give him a call. Tell him I'm coming over to see him on that ship. So on the separatist frigate, I always want to say fritter, and it makes me hungry. Yeah. Anyway, so Anakin, like they're hanging out on the bridge, and Anakin's like, we've done some digging, we've done some slicing in this universe.
Slicing.
We might have found something useful. And apparently Project Titan is being conducted on 2 different planets, and it's being overseen on Anethium. And Yoda's like, oh shit, that's like in the Western Reaches. Like, where is it being built? And Anakin's like, I have no fucking clue. And we also have no idea what it actually is. other than just being called Project Titan. And Yoda's like, okay, so it looks like our best bet is to go to Anethium. And Anakin's like, sure does. And he like looks really excited. And
like, I want to kill people. I want to cut up some droids.
Yoda's like, you want to come with? And he's like, yes, I do.
Yes.
So a few moments later, on Anethium, the ship, the frigate, they pull up in the frigate, the Separatist frigate, and Yoda and Anakin and Captain Caesar, who is like the clone captain with Anakin at the time, they're cleared to land at the facility. And so they land and they're like sitting around like trying to figure out what to do. And Anakin's like, okay, so they're going to figure out that the clearance code is old, probably sooner rather than later. And Yoda's like, I'll just be quick. And Anakin's like, wait, we're about to infiltrate a Separatist base. Like, don't you mean we will be quick? And Yoda's like, listen, you whiny fuck. If I meant we, I would have said we. Separatists don't have uniforms we can just put on and blend in. So like, this is a stealth mission.
This is a job for someone very small. Yeah.
You do stealth about as well as a toddler with a bullhorn does stealth. So I'm going to go in alone. And Anakin's like, that was hurtful. You didn't have to be such a dick about it, but okay. We'll wait here. Keep your comm on you. And if anything goes wrong, I'll come in and save the day. So
Yoda's like, yeah, you're going to save me.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, sure.
So Yoda infiltrates the base, and he's crawling around in like those tiny service vents, and like it's a clear reference to Yoda after his duel with Palpatine, when he's like crawling around in the little tube and like trying to escape. It's literally shot for shot of that. So he gets to a vent, and like he looks down and he overhears a voice, and it's General Grievous. And General Grievous is like, what's the status of Project Titan? And Yoda's like, oh, this is real lucky. I happen to be passing right through here right now. And the droid he's talking to is like, it's going great. And Grievous is like, okay, when will it be operational? And the droid says, we'll be able to do field tests by the end of the week. And Grievous is like, good. And they both leave. And so Yoda like gives him a couple seconds. Kicks the vent.
Not quite as helpful as I was hoping.
Yeah.
But
fucking leaps out. Superhero lands on the ground like he's in a fucking Marvel movie.
Like he's Black Widow.
Yeah, it is just like that. And lands in front of a computer. And so he starts like tapping away with his like 3-fingered little fucking hands. Yeah. And Yoda's like, all right, let's see what they're up to. And so he pulls up some schematics. We don't get a good look at what it is, but he can see it. And he's like, holy shit, this is real bad.
Yeah.
And there's a voice behind him, and it's Grievous. And he's like, well.
General Yoda.
If it isn't General Yoda. And
you are a bold one.
Yoda's like, oh no, it's Grievous. I better run.
Oh, no.
And he's like, hey, did you know that I was trained in the Jedi arts by Count Dooku?
Yes. Yoda's like, yes, you fucking tell every Jedi you meet that. Like, we know already.
He pulls out a lightsaber. Yoda like pulls out his lightsaber and he's like, yeah, who do you think fucking taught Dooku how to fight with lightsabers? Also, a lightsaber is a Jedi's weapon and you're not really fit to wield it. And Grievous is like, why don't you come and take it from me? And Yoda's
do you see these 8 lightsabers I have?
Before we fight, let me show you this badass collection, actually. And he's like, come and take it from me. And Yoda's like, I thought you'd never ask. And Yoda goes into squirrel and crack mode. And like they start swinging and shit. And at first, Grievous is like, oh shit, God, you're very small, but you move very fast. But you're cute and tiny. Like there's no way someone so small is going to be able to beat me. And Yoda leaps into the air.
Yoda's like, that's what she said, bitch.
Yoda does like this like pirouette through the fucking air and like gets this real good slash across Grievous's face like mask thing. Yeah. And he's like, ouch, motherfucker.
That hurts.
Yeah, like I'm gonna have to repair that.
Yeah.
You got lucky. Like that was a fucking lucky shot. I think I'll cut your head off now. And Yoda's like, okay. And so he goes to attack and freezes mid-swing. Like freezes, eyes moving around, like, what the fuck? What is this? Let me go. And Yoda's standing there with his fucking hand out, just got the motherfucker just frozen in midair. And
he was like, where'd you think Kylo Ren got the idea?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Grievous is like, who? Don't worry about it.
It's going to make sense in a long time, but you're going to be dead.
You'll be dead. You won't know what it. Yeah. So like, it's one thing to fight with a lightsaber. It's an entirely other thing to fight with the Force. And Grievous is like, oh yeah, I don't have that. that would
Yoda's
really,
like, yeah, I noticed.
So like Yoda throws him across the room into a steam vent, and Grievous like stands up and he dusts himself off, and he's like, okay, enough of the fucking parlor tricks. Like, this isn't a magic show for kids, and you won't be able to do that again. And Grievous attacks, but like out of nowhere, like a super battle droid is like walking by and like looks over and sees them and is like, wait, what?
Should I do something?
And like turns around and gets like his other super like battle droid friends to come over, and they're like, is that a tiny, what the fuck is that? And like they're like, I don't know, we should start shooting at him though. And he's like, okay. So they all start shooting at him, and Grievous is like, guys, what?
Chill the fuck out.
What the fuck? Yeah. And so Yoda takes the opportunity and jumps back up into his vent, right? And is like looking down at Grievous. And Grievous is like, guys, I almost fucking had him. And Yoda's like, no, you didn't. And Grievous is like, get back down here. And he's like, no, I got what I came for. Yeah. Also, my former Padawan, Dooku, may have taught you how to swing a lightsaber, but he clearly didn't teach you how to hold on to one. And Grievous is like, huh?
What the fuck are you talking about?
Before he can react, Yoda fucking snatches one of the lightsabers right out of his hand with the Force. And he's like, no, my collection. Yeah. And Yoda is like, fucks off. Yeah. So Grievous sounds the alarm that there are intruders in the base. And so they quickly figure out that the ship they allowed clearance.
Meanwhile, Anakin is like, ooh, the alarm's going off. I get to chop up droids now.
Except that like they're surrounded by they're surrounded by battle droids, and they're under like a lot of like they're outgunned. And one of the clones is like, we need to fall back, like we're getting pretty thoroughly fucked here. And Anakin's like, well, we're not going to leave Yoda here. Also, if I die in this fight, that's fine, because it'd be pretty badass. Yeah. So you switch to the POV of like one of the battle droids who is like,
Roger.
Yeah. He looks up, and there's this tiny figure flying down at him with fucking 2 lightsabers. And Yoda just starts cutting through this whole like little mini army.
I imagine that battle droid would shit its pants if it had pants to shit.
And if it had time to react. Yeah. But Yoda just starts like carving through this horde of droids. And he kills a lot, like he destroys all of them. And Anakin's sitting there like, I might masturbate to this. That was pretty fucking cool. And so like Yoda turns off his lightsaber, and he walks up to him and he's like, well, the stealth thing was working out until it wasn't. So anyway, we need to get out of here before reinforcements get here. So they get on the frigate, they take off. The plan is to like jump to hyperspace and get away and then scuttle the ship. That way like they could get any intelligence from it when they find it. And Anakin's like, okay, so what's the deal about Operation Titan? And Yoda's like, they're being built on Galatha. And Anakin's like, wait, like there as in plural? How many weapons are there? And he's like, it's actually a whole goddamn army, and it's just droids that are 4 times taller than the average man. Oh. And Anakin's like, it's weird that they thought that making them taller was the thing they had to do.
Yeah.
And
although I guess it makes sense with the name.
Yeah. And Yoda's like, oh yeah, they're also calling them mega droids. And Anakin's like, yeah, that's a dumbass name.
Kind of stupid, yeah.
And Yoda's like, right. Anyway, I can't have things running around that tall in general. There's this whole thing with my droid. I don't want to talk about it. So we're going to go and kill every one of the, like all the droids and shit. Like, are you ready for another road trip? And Anakin's like, yes. Thought you'd never ask. And then
I am literally vibrating with excitement.
Yeah. And we get the to be continued. I was going to do both because this run is really cool, but we have like a bunch of other shit to talk about. So I didn't want to run out of time. So we'll do the next one next week.
To be continued.
We'll probably do 2 more next week because I think we'll have more time to do it next week.
So we talk about Loki or Gen V?
Let's talk. Your pick.
Let's do Loki.
Okay. You're gonna have to. So I just watched. I just watched the latest episode, and then promptly forgot the one before that because that's the one we haven't covered.
Yeah. So they go to find Sylvie. She's still working at McDonald's.
She's in it's that one, right? Yeah. Okay, yeah.
And Loki just walks on up and says, "Hey, let's fucking talk." And Sylvie's like, "All right, I'm on break. Yeah, 15 minutes. Go."
Yeah.
And Loki's like, "Okay, look, we need to not destroy the TVA. Like, we need to save the TVA because they're the only thing keeping all of time together. And Sylvie's like, fuck you. I hate the TVA. Fuck them.
I could do without him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen someone so excited to work at a McDonald's before. I thought that was kind of weird.
You know, when you've been a refugee for your entire life, I guess, you know, not just a refugee, but like a hunted criminal in quotation marks.
Like trying to like prune her and everything.
Oh God, this is also the one where they have the prisoner that they're
right. Right.
And like Loki wheels in the fucking
they do a torture scene.
Yeah.
That was some good cop bad cop thing.
Yeah.
By the way, the great place to mention it. Loki and Owen Wilson have insane chemistry together. Yes. They're so good together on screen, and I love them. Everything they do together is like I could keep doing this forever, I think, with those two. And I like the good cop bad cop thing they do. And did you see there are some theories about there's that younger guy that Sylvie's working with at McDonald's, like the blonde guy, who like clearly is kind of crushing on her a little bit. Because at the end of that episode, he comes out to talk to her, and she has the
and she's like, "Yeah, your mom's picking you up, right?"
Yeah, I thought I was gonna try and do a your mom joke. And she also has the little the pad from He Who Remains. It's like the master pad or something. There are theories about him being the young version of Owen Wilson's character, and she's just like hanging out with him or whatever. And
I can see it being possible.
Yeah. And so they end up finding out
that like the TVA hardliners are like pruning all the divergent timelines or whatever. So we get Loki and Sylvie and Mobius crash the party and just fucking beat the hell out of all of them.
That main general or whatever is Aunt Liza from Game of Thrones, who suffers a hilarious death. She's thrown out the moon door.
Oh, that's fun.
It's a whole thing. And she's a really famous and really good character actor. And she does this kind of thing very well, where she's like, "Oh, I have a plan."
Where she's quasi-fascist.
Yeah. Well, I think everyone in Game of Thrones is fascist because of the government and everything. But
I guess.
But they
authoritarian, which is not necessarily the same as fascist, but we're diverging.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So I appreciated that, like, there's the one hunter who is like, we can't let them prune all those timelines because those are all people.
Yeah, like they're killing billions upon billions of people.
And they end up clearing out a lot of it.
Yeah.
Like probably maybe even a bigger body count than Thanos, depending on how well they did.
And like the end of that episode is Sylvie standing in the control room saying, "Well, shit, this is the best the TVA can do. You've got billions of people dead. I'm going to fucking go back to McDonald's. Fuck you."
I like how, like, Loki should have been like, "Thanks for the help." Like, all the time we took arguing about whether or not you wanted to help, we could have stopped the entire fucking thing. Yeah. Sylvie's just in a bad mood, I think.
Yeah. Which brings us to the next episode.
Yeah. So first of all, did you like the rinky-dink piano version of the
it took me a few seconds to realize what I was listening to, but the ragtime version of the Marvel theme
it was neat. The whole thing takes place between 1870 and 1890, I think.
1893, which is the Chicago World's Fair,
right, which is where we spend most of it. But the big stunning thing about this is the introduction of Victor Timely, who's played by Jonathan Majors, and I hate that he is probably really disgusting. There aren't a ton of details we know about this whole thing with him, but I hate that he's such a great actor.
Yeah,
because he is fantastic in this episode, and it makes me and this is why I think Marvel, I think this is why Disney is like, oh, we're going to just see if it'll blow over, because
whatever else he may be, he's a really good actor.
Yeah, he shouldn't have a job. If the allegations about him are true, he shouldn't have a job.
Yes,
and he should be fired. And I just hate that it's kind of like Gina Carano, where like I liked Gina Carano in The Mandalorian.
Really good in Mandalorian,
but she's
a repugnant human being.
Yeah, and she shouldn't get work.
Yeah,
at least the kind of like where you're really visible and you can say shit like.
I do have to say about Jonathan Majors' performance, it is a very bold and interesting choice on his and Disney's part to give like the primary antagonist of your show a stutter.
Yeah, because like he does that so well too.
Yeah, because like a stutter is generally a sign of weakness, or like you're not all mentally there.
Yeah,
but like on him, it sounds menacing, and like because it changes the intonation and the timing of his
like
words,
the cadence of how he says things,
in ways that you don't expect. So it ends up feeling unsettling.
Yeah,
kind of like you're waiting
that
for
whole introduction of him. Yeah, when he's doing his spiel in the dark, and he's also, there's something kind of socially weird about him.
Yeah,
he's just kind of awkward, but the whole thing is pretty much him and Renslayer and Miss Minutes hanging out.
Yeah, so they're in the 70s, and Renslayer gives him a TVA guidebook, and then they jump ahead 25 years, and he's used the technology in Ouroboros's TVA guidebook to make all these new inventions.
Yeah, and it's we find some weird things out about Miss Minutes.
Like she's very horny for He Who Remains,
which I get it. Jonathan Majors is really hot. Like he just is. Yeah. Still disgusting human being if the allegations are true. Shouldn't have a job. But like she wants to dry hump any variant of Kang. She's like, I don't care who it is.
And Mobius and Loki track down Victor Timely, and they're trying to figure out how to get him back, because like the whole thing is
the loom is broken.
Yeah, the loom is broken, and they need He Who Remains temporal signature to fix it, or some shit.
Like,
or Miss Minutes or something.
Yeah.
So that's what Loki and Mobius are there for.
Sylvie just shows up as an agent of chaos trying to kill Victor Timely.
Well, that's the thing. Like Victor Timely infuriates some old timey robber barons by like, because he's actually a con artist.
Yeah,
like he has this technology, but he's also a con artist. Yeah. So he's on the run, and Loki and Mobius are like, dude, we just gotta take him back to the TVA. It'll be fine. And Renslayer's like, actually, what if I take him back to the TVA and make him who he's supposed to be? And that's that whole.
They're like, no, that would be bad, probably.
Yeah. And then Sylvie shows up, is like, I'm gonna kill him, and Loki's like, you shouldn't kill him. Sylvie's like, I'm gonna fucking kill him.
Yeah, I killed him once. I'll fucking do it again.
Loki's like, okay, what if we don't kill him?
Yeah.
So eventually, Timely and Renslayer and Miss Minutes get away, and there's this scene on a boat where they're going to his lab in Wisconsin, and like Timely's like
which he does his lab in Wisconsin for tax reasons.
Yes,
which is exactly why my father-in-law moved to Wisconsin from Chicago.
Yeah, makes sense.
He's like, oh, the taxes there are lower, which they're not really that much lower. But
anyway, there's this scene where he seems to have a thing for Renslayer.
Yeah.
And then Renslayer says, I think this is going to be a very profitable partnership. And Timely's like, nope, I don't do partners.
Throws her off the boat.
And Miss Minutes is like, you had to do that.
Yeah.
Like, you heard her.
Yeah. And there's a whole, Miss Minutes all of a sudden has gotten very menacing. She was already kind of menacing before, but the thing ends with you finding out that she's in love with, Miss Minutes is in love with Kang,
and Timely is like, no, you're going back in the temp pad. Get the fuck
back in the box, please. This is a little weird.
Yeah.
And then
so Loki and Mobius show up, and they take Timely to the TVA to hopefully fix things. And Sylvie is looking at Renslayer, and she's like, I could kill you. I can make it really fucking hurt, but instead I'm just gonna send you to the end of time.
Yeah.
And now Renslayer's hanging out with He Who Remains his corpse.
Yeah. And there's a thing about Miss Minutes tells Renslayer that she's like, I know a secret about you, but it would make you really mad. And
that's where it ends.
Yeah. So that whole is my favorite episode so far.
I think so,
the setting was really neat, and the whole thing was a lot of fun.
This episode was also really long. It was like 50 minutes or something.
Yes,
which is what it needed to be, considering the last episode was like under 30 and not so good.
Yeah.
Have to say, Natalie Holt's score, brilliant.
Yeah, the whole thing was great. There were a couple of diegetic music moments.
the ragtime piano thing,
the German band playing the main theme from Loki, which I thought was really neat. So Gen V is another thing that happened.
Yes.
The spin-off show to The Boys about a bunch of new adults who have superpowers,
college kids,
who are going to school at God University, and some shit's happening. They're doing tests on people, and you find
so what's going on in the background is the bad guys are developing this virus that has very bad effects on superpowered people, but doesn't affect normal people at all.
Yeah, there's a bunch of shit happening in this show. We probably should have next week we'll do a little bit more on Gen V,
a little bit more structured.
Yeah, because it's there's a lot of shit happening, but there's a character who can control people's memories and minds, and it turns out she's been kind of on the bad guy's side.
So the big mystery of episode, I think it was 4, is at the very end, there's like everyone blacks out, and then 2 of the characters wake up in bed together, and they're like, "What the fuck happened?" So nice. The first part of episode 5, I think, is everyone slowly piecing together, like, okay, what happened last night? Why can't I remember the last 3 days?
Yeah.
And they think they figured, oh, it's that psychic who was, kidnapping and molesting women. Clearly he's the one to blame. So let's go beat him up. And he's like, no, actually it's not me. I swear. And they're like,
that should be good enough.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't you trust me?
That's kind of weird. Marie and Jordan have this will they, won't they thing where
there's a lot of will they.
Yeah.
There's a lot of they already did.
There's a lot of they're both clearly into each other, but they can't fucking talk to each other.
Yeah.
To like clarify anything.
They're all college age students and they're stupid.
Yeah. And Jordan has this hang up, like, does she only like me in my male form, but I like being a girl sometimes? Yeah. And
which is great. It's a neat it's a neat way to look at that issue for like gender fluid people and everything.
Like their fucking invisible nudist RA is like, well, have you actually talked to her about it?
Yeah. Which, by the way, he apparently has a llama, a soup,
alpaca.
Or an alpaca that can turn into a soup that can turn into an alpaca, which is kind of weird. And they do sexual things, which,
I mean,
if it's a consent, who cares? That's fine. And the second episode, there's a Soldier Boy cameo.
Oh God, yes! I'm so glad they brought him back.
Yeah,
that actor is phenomenal. He does that character so well.
Yeah, he's that character is such a fucking caricature. You know what? Donald Trump probably watches this show and it's like, he's my favorite character.
Yeah. He like goes down to this extended scene with like, yeah, I was her imaginary friend. She fucking humped her pillow and thought of me a lot.
Yeah, that's the one thing about these like the boys in Gen V is that like they go there and then they just keep going, and you're like okay, you went all the way there.
So Kate, the person who can touch people and control their minds, has been working for the bad guys and sort of keeping their secrets for years, and like she's kind of breaking down. So she puts the rest of our main characters into a sleep, and they're all sort of sharing a mind meld and going through memories and things. So we see Kate's backstory where she sends her brother off into the woods and she feels really bad about it. And then the fucking dean shows up and says, I can fix you. I can help you. Here, take these totally sketchy pills.
Yeah.
They'll help you control things.
One a day. You'll feel great.
And by the way, you work for me now.
Yeah.
I need you to help me make people forget things.
Yeah, that's the whole theme of the episode is you find out that everyone's done something a little shitty.
Everyone has their secrets.
Yeah. And at the end, they're like, okay, there's no getting around this. Like, we've all done shitty stuff. Like, like there are more important things going on. We need to figure it out. The one guy was banging Arnold Schwarzenegger's son's girlfriend like way before he actually died. And there's and Jordan was working with Brink to help control Golden Boy,
right.
and everything's kind of fucked up. But at the end, you find out that the dean of the school is actually trying to create a contagious virus that will kill soups. Which,
if Billy Butcher knew about this, he'd be like, fucking sign me up. Like, what do you need to help? How can I help?
Like, this reveal came and I was like, have you called Butcher?
Yeah, like he'd fucking help you.
Yeah.
He'd do whatever you need.
You guys would probably get married.
Yeah. Also, the B plot here, I guess, over all this is Sam and girl who gets little Emma. Is that her name?
Yeah, I can't remember all their names.
They bang, and it's it's like life-changing for both of them.
I like how he is like really weird but also genuinely funny.
Yeah.
And he's also really hot, but that's entirely beside the point.
They have a very tender moment.
Yeah, and there's a moment later on, it's like a Hulk Black Widow thing where he's about to
he's about to fucking murder Kate, and she's like, calm down,
sun's getting real low, big guy.
Just
I think they fuck and he sees it from the point of view of puppets.
Yes, because he's got some mental problems.
Quite a few. Which I was like, Still kind of hot.
You know, whatever.
Yeah. All right. We got to go do the other things we're going to do.
Yes, we're going to play video games now.
So join us again here in a few minutes. We hope to see you there. Thanks for the support. We love you guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.